How's it going, Jack Tackers, and welcome back to another video for you guys. Today I'm going to be ranking all of the Walking Dead seasons from worst to best. But first, remember, if you guys are new, make sure to check out my social media and vlogging channel down in the description below. Also, before we get into this, I do want to say that none of these seasons are bad. They all have their great moments, but some are just slightly worse than others, and this show is an amazing show, so obviously there's going to be better seasons compared to others. So yeah, I don't really hate any of these seasons, but I just want to put that out there. Anyway, without further ado, let's get into this. At number 9 is Season 7. Now, this is definitely the worst, in my opinion, out of all 9 seasons, mainly because of the pacing. The pacing is abysmal. Some people say Season 2's pacing is abysmal and just pure shit, but Season 7's pacing is miles worse than that. I mean, especially, after they do the premieres for both halves of the season, they just go into this dip where it's just like boring as shit. It's so slow. It moves so slow. Another negative I have with this season is that, especially earlier on in the first half, they really torture our characters with Negan. And I get that's how it's supposed to be, but I never even got that much vibe from a comic when I read it. And it just, there's so much going on with our characters, and it's just like so like sad to watch. And I know that's probably intentional, but that's really a slight nitpick, I guess I should say. But again, the main reason this is at number 9 is because of the pacing, and a lot of these episodes could have been combined into one, like episodes 2, 3, and 4. Those could all have been one episode easily, and yeah, the pacing's just really shit. So I have to put this at number 9. Even though there are some great moments, I do like the finale. I like the premiere, obviously. It was really crazy. And yeah, there's just a lot of good moments, but there's also just a lot of bad pacing issues. So it's just no excuse for it to be, above any of the other seasons, because the pacing is just not good at all. At number 8 is Season 8. Now, this is slightly better than Season 7, mainly because the pacing's a tad bit better, but it's still not the best pacing, but there is some good moments. I just do think that the war itself, All Out War, I wanted it to originally be one full season because it would make sense. There was 2 parts of it in the comics, All Out War Part 1, All Out War Part 2, and they could kind of do that with the halves of the season, since there's 2 halves in each season for The Walking Dead, and it just made sense. But ultimately, the war lasted way too long, and that's, I guess, kind of a pacing issue, but there was just a lot of, like, action at the beginning, and then it just kind of fell flat, like, in the middle a little bit, and then it kind of picked back up towards the second half. And again, the major issue I have with this season is the death of Carl. Yeah, that was a mistake, a really, really big mistake, and they should not have done it. And that's a main reason why this season is so low. Also because it's not the best compared to all these others, and the action is good for the most part, but I just do think the war lasted too long, if that makes any sense. I really do, but yeah. At number 7 is Season 3. Now, I know this may come to a surprise to some of you, because I know a lot of Walking Dead fans love Season 3, and I do not hate this season. Again, I said at the beginning of this video, I don't really hate any of these seasons, and honestly, from Season 8 up to here is a pretty big jump, because I really like all of these seasons, to be honest, after Season 7 and 8. And, I like Season 7 and 8, but there are some major issues with them. Season 3's main issue with me is that it was going too fast, and Glenn Mazzara, I know he was the new showrunner at this time. He liked to do things really fast, but he didn't give a lot of storylines that just could breathe. And honestly, it felt rushed in many ways. I mean, the comics, they were at the prison for like a long-ass time, for like 4 or so volumes. And I know that doesn't really mean anything, and it doesn't have to correlate exactly to the show that way. But still, man, it would just felt so rushed. And then they like came to a dead stop at the end of the season with the governor. And you thought it was building up to this big battle, but it wasn't really anything, and we had to wait till season 4 to get that big battle, which did pay off ultimately. But season three's main issue is that I guess it is still a pacing issue because it's going too fast. But don't get me wrong, there's some amazing scenes and amazing episodes in this season, and I do love this season honestly, but I just do think the seasons above this are better. But yeah, I still really like this one. At number 6 is season 1. Now, this is a classic season, and honestly used to be one of my favorites for a while, but I realized it's not as good as some of these others, and I still really love this one, to be honest. I think it's a bit underrated. I know a lot of people really used to like it, but for some reason, I feel like a lot of people's opinions on it have changed, and mine's about the same. Like, I still do like this season. It's a bit shorter, so that may be an issue to some people that maybe they wanted more of it or some reason, but I do think it's a very tight season and they focus a lot more, and the pacing for the most part is pretty fast, but it works. There is one episode in particular that is an amazing episode 4, but even then I do think it's a fine episode. It's not awful or anything, but I do like this season. I think, the pilot and everything, and all of the just OG characters that were in this season, and looking back now, it's a lot like Game of Thrones. Like, if you look back on Game of Thrones first season, it's very different, and you just kind of like watching that season because a lot of your dead characters are in it, and that's very similar for Walking Dead, and you like to revisit this season because it reminds you of the good old times, and yeah, that's why I like this season so much. At number 5 is season 2. Now, this is a weird season amongst the Walking Dead community because it feels like you either love it or you really hate it. I really love it, to be honest. I know a lot of people think that the pacing sucks, and some people, as I mentioned previously, think it's worse than season seven's pacing, but I do not agree whatsoever. I mean, honestly, there's only a few episodes in the first half that's pacing is just not good. I really love the premiere to this season. Episodes 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 aren't that great. But episode 7, pretty much dead already when Sophia comes out of the barn. Whoa. Episode 8, Nebraska with Dave and Tony in the bar. Whoa. The bar shootout, Trigger Finger. Whoa, that's a great episode. 18 Miles Out, that's one of my favorite episodes still to this day. And then we see Dale's death, and then we get Shane's death, and then we get that herd of walkers coming to the barn and they have to fight them off. Like, that is a great season. Like, I really do love this season. I don't understand why people don't. I mean, I guess the pacing, as I said, is not that good in the first half, which really, it's only those 5 episodes, because I do think episodes 1 of this season and episode 7 are really great, and so on. So, I don't really know what people mean when they hate this season. We get some great, great character development. The stuff with Shane and Rick is absolutely great, and I love Shane's character in this season and how it ends up and his story arc and everything that happens with him by the end of the season and how it plays out. It's just crazy, to be honest, and I really do like this season, and I think it's very underrated. But again, you either love this season or you hate it. I really love it, and I think if you haven't seen this season in a while and you think it's not that great, please rewatch it because I think you might find a new love for it. At number 4 is Season 9. Now, this is the newest installment of the Walking Dead franchise, and I know some of you might rank this season a bit higher, and don't get me wrong, it's a fantastic season. I really do love this season. It took me a while to really focus and acknowledge this season. Like, when it ended, I was just a bit melancholy about it because I missed Rick so much, and Maggie was just disappeared for, like, most of the season, and it just really felt weird because it was such a new spin on The Walking Dead, and it took a while to get used to. But then going back and, like, really just rewatching those first episodes with Rick and everything that was going on in those first 5 episodes, and the first 5 episodes of this season I just really love. Not that the rest of the season is bad or anything, because it's still great. We got the introduction of Beta and the Whisperers and Alpha. I don't know why I said Beta first, but I just love Beta so much, I guess. We also got to see Snow for the first time in The Walking Dead, and those last 2 episodes, like episode 15 with the heads on the spikes, that was a crazy moment. And, I do think there was a bit of a lull, like from episode 7 to maybe 9 or 10. Like, I don't really like those episodes that much. Like, there were some good moments, like getting Lydia and understanding her character toward the beginning of the first or second half. But after Rick left, like, it did feel very weird, but I'm kind of used to it now. I mean, I still really miss Rick. Like, I'm excited for those Rick movies, but it was still a fantastic season, and I really do love what Angela Kang did with it. At number 3 is Season 4. Now, maybe some of you will be surprised with this as well, because I think a lot of people don't really love the first half of the season too much, because there is a bit of a lull from the premiere to the mid-season finale. Like, the prison sickness storyline wasn't amazing, and those 2 governor-centric episodes, which I did like the first one, actually, because we got to see what the governor was up to within these, like, past few months that have been going on. So I did like that, actually. The second episode for the governor wasn't that great, but it was still okay in my opinion. The second half is where it really gets better. I do think this Terminus storyline and everyone trying to come back together after the fall of the prison, that was really interesting. Great character development as well with Michonne and Rick and Carl and their whole relationship and how everything grew between them. And even the Daryl and Beth stuff, looking back on it, is pretty good. I mean, I didn't really like episode 12, which is not that good of an episode, but looking back on it now that everything's changed and how different things are now in the show, it's pretty crazy. So I do really love season 4. I think there is high highs and low lows, but ultimately I love season 4. I just do. At number 2 is season 5. This is almost my number 1 pick. Obviously, it's number 2, but I was really wondering if I should put it at number 1, but I love season 5, but the other one, obviously, season 6. I'll get to it in a minute, but season 5 is great, and this is when I first started to watch the show live. Like, I caught up with the first 4 seasons, but I didn't start watching it until, like, on TV as it aired until season 5, and season 5, I just realized, like, this is my favorite show ever, and it's Walking Dead still is my favorite show ever. I love Walking Dead, but season 5, I mean, there was so much going on there, and the Terminus stuff, like, that action-packed premiere, that was, like, so much hype going into this season, and 17 million viewers, I think, was the premiere episode it got, and it was just so crazy, them escaping Terminus, and then everything that happened, with the hunters after that, and Bob and all that. That was a crazy time. And then them getting to Alexandria at the end of the season, and Morgan coming back was insane. And I love season 5 so much. It's such a great season. But yes, at number 1 is season 6. Now, I know some people have mixed feelings on this season. Honestly, this season's perfect, except the cliffhanger death with Negan. But actually getting to see Negan for the first time this season was insane. And I remember the hype going into this one as well, with Morgan being back. And this is where The Walking Dead really started to change, in my opinion, with our world getting a lot bigger with Jesus and the hilltop. And we got to see, actually, we didn't get to see the kingdom, but you guys know what I mean. This is where the world of The Walking Dead really just started to change, in my opinion, and there's some great scenes. And me being a comic book reader, I love this season a lot as well, because there's a lot of comic book stuff, and just a lot of shit happens with No Way Out and stuff. Like, I really like that, and it's very exciting for that part. And there are some issues I have, like, there are some bottle episodes where they just focus on a few characters, but other than that, I really do like the general focus of this season, and there's some great moments throughout. But again, there's great moments through all of these seasons, but yeah, I really like season 6, what can I say? Anyway, guys, those are all of the Walking Dead seasons ranked from worst to best. Let me hear your ranking down in the comments below. Let me hear your thoughts on my ranking as well. And yeah, if you guys liked this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace. Boop.